Look at the kidney in general right here. It has a capsule on the outside, okay? And then the area where the blood vessels come and go in the renal pelvis and all that, this is the hilum, plural. I mean singular, hilus would be plural. So that'd be this area here, okay? You can see it here too. Sorry.
Rip the ureters off.
So, hilum. We okay with that?
Yeah.
You have basically, just like in the adrenal gland, you have a cortex and a medulla. So this lighter stuff is the cortex out here. Here's cortex here. This in here is medulla. So this is part of the medulla. So medulla, cortex. Okay. I'll come back to renal columns. Renal pyramids. That's what these triangle areas are right here. There's one. There's one. There's one. Here's one right here. Okay. Now the spaces between them are the columns, the renal columns. So this would be a renal column right here, in between here. This shows you a good renal column right here and here and here. Okay. Renal papilla. That's where the urine's going to drip out right at the apex of those pyramids. There, there. This would be the renal papilla right here. And they drip urine out into a minor calyx. So my Q-tip is inside a minor calyx. Here's a minor calyx. There's a minor calyx. Everywhere's a minor calyx. All these minor calyxes. Two or more minor calyxes make up a major. So here would be a major calyx. This area, and like this area here. And then they drip into the renal pelvis. That's what this thing is right here, the renal pelvis. You can see a renal pelvis right here. Okay. Another renal pelvis. Renal pelvis. We okay with Roman numeral 2, the kidney? Okay, next is the nephron, which is the functional unit of the kidney. You got about 1 million in each kidney. Okay, and there's several different parts of it. One of the first things, the concept is no renal corpuscle, and these balls here, everything, the ball and what's inside of it would be a renal corpuscle. So this whole thing here would be a renal corpuscle, and it consists of the glomerular capsule and the glomerulus. Okay, so those two things together form the renal corpuscle. Okay. So this outer part, the ball part of the renal corpuscle, is called the glomerular capsule or Bowman's capsule. Now remember how in the heart we took the heart and put it in a bag, and what was right on the heart was the visceral pericardium, and the bag made the parietal pericardium. The same thing happens here, is you take a ball of capillaries and you surround it with tissue, and so you're going to have this part, which would be the parietal layer, and then what's right on the capillaries, this white, would be the visceral layer of Bowman's capsule or glomerular capsule. Over here they took this is just the capillaries. Okay. So again, glomerulus. You have an artery feeding those capillaries. It's this thicker one, that's the afferent arteriole. And here it is here, afferent arteriole, afferent arteriole. All these are afferent. And then you have these capillaries. After that, normally capillaries they turn into what?
Efferent.
Venules, right? Every place else in the body, but here they don't. They turn into an efferent arteriole. So here's the efferent arteriole. So here's a afferent arteriole, efferent. Okay, afferent, efferent, with the glomerular capillaries in between. Okay. Now, what's happening is you're feeding blood in here, arterial blood, and you're filtering. These are very more porous. They're called fenestrations. We talked about fenestrated capillaries. And so you have plasma coming out without protein, spilling out and collecting in this Bowman's capsule, and now it's going to go down these tubes. And so here we go. It's coming out right here, and so this is a tube. It's next to the glomerulus, so it's proximal, and it gets real twisty, turny, and so it's convoluted. So we call it the proximal convoluted tubule. It then goes down into this medulla, and it forms this loop of Henle. You have a descending limb and then an ascending limb. So this is the descending limb of the loop of Henle, and the ascending limb, or the nephron loop it's called too. And then it comes back up in the cortex and gets twisty-turny again, but now it's further away. So the distal convoluted tubule. And then that's going to empty into the collecting duct. Okay. Here, these capillaries here, and this represents the vasa recta. The vasa recta. These are going to surround these tubules here. We'll learn what those do in 6. Juxtaglomerular apparatus. Juxta meaning what? Next
juxtaposition.
Juxta. Glomerulus, remember this here? Okay? So it's right next to this. And so what it is that loop of Henle comes up in that distal convoluted tubule. That tubule comes up right between the afferent and efferent arteriole, and here it is coming right through there. And so this distal convoluted tubule and the afferent efferent arteriole, this here makes up the juxtaglomerular apparatus or complex right here. Now, notice how these cells right here next to the afferent arteriole are thicker than these. These are called the macula densa cells. And then these cells right around the afferent arteriole, these are smooth muscle cells, but they're specialized. They actually secrete a hormone called renin. And so these are called the granular cells or juxtaglomerular cells. Macula densa cells, juxtaglomerular cells, or granular cells. And then again, this empties into the collecting duct, this distal convoluted tubule. Now, the fluid that comes out here and travels in these tubules is not urine. That's called filtrate. It doesn't get the name urine until it drips out right here. Because all along this, you're going to be processing. You're going to be taking things out of it and putting things back in. Okay. So we okay with the nephron? Okay. So renal blood